A mother's life cut short, the shocking story behind the perfect neighbor. What happens when a tight-knit community is torn apart by a senseless act of violence? This is the haunting question at the heart of The Perfect Neighbor, a documentary that delves into the tragic killing of Ajike Owens, a beloved mother of 4, by her neighbor Susan Lorincz in Ocala, Florida. But here's where it gets controversial. The film doesn't just tell a story. It challenges us to confront the systemic issues that allowed this tragedy to unfold. And this is the part most people miss. It's not just about one incident. It's about the broader implications of laws like Florida's Stand Your Ground policy, which disproportionately affect Black communities. For filmmakers and life partners Geeta Gandbhir and Nikan Kwantu, along with producer Elisa Payne, this project felt almost fated. Long before they collaborated professionally, their paths crossed as parents whose children attended the same preschool. Each brought their own unique storytelling expertise to the table. Payne, known for powerful documentaries like the Emmy and NAACP Image Award-nominated Stamped from the Beginning; Kwantu, with 2 decades of experience in multimedia, film, and animation production; and Gandbhir, a director mentored by industry giants Sam Pollard and Spike Lee, with whom she collaborated on When the Levees Broke, a Requiem in 4 acts, earning her first Emmy Award. United by their passion for uncovering unseen perspectives, their latest endeavor was sparked by a devastating personal connection. In June 2023, Kwantu's relative, Takema Robinson, a social justice activist, reached out about the killing of Ajike Owens, a family friend and mother of 4. Owens was fatally shot by her neighbor, Susan Lorincz, over a seemingly trivial dispute involving children playing in a field near Lorinch's home. This tragedy left my family and me in a state of profound grief and confusion, Gandbhir reflects. Ajike's community was a haven of mutual support and trust, making the collapse of that bond all the more heartbreaking. Determined to support Owens' family and raise awareness, Gandbhir, Kwantu, and Payne traveled to Florida, especially since Lorincz had not been immediately arrested by local law enforcement. The Perfect Neighbor is one of those films we wish we didn't have to make, Payne admits, underscoring the gravity of the story. The documentary is a raw, emotional journey, but Gandbhir's storytelling prowess shines through. She peeled back every layer of our story with precision, says Pamela Diaz, Ajike Owens' mother. It was a masterpiece. Diaz supported the film from its inception, seeing it as a way to honor her daughter's memory and transform grief into purpose. I'm carrying on her spirit, she says. Through the film and the Standing in the Gap Fund, a family-led initiative addressing race-based violence, Diaz hopes to foster empathy and prevent similar tragedies. It's advocating for more compassion in the world, something we desperately need, she adds. What unfolds in the documentary? Directed by Gandbhir and produced by Kwantu, Payne, and Sam Bisbee, the film relies almost entirely on police body camera footage, offering an intimate look at a neighborhood that feels frozen in time. The neighbors genuinely cared for one another, Diaz recalls. Family was the cornerstone of the community, making it a unique and special place to live. Yet, this idyllic setting was shattered by escalating tensions between Lorincz and her neighbors, particularly over children playing in a vacant lot near her home. Susan was an outlier in this community, Kwantu notes. She'd call the police at the slightest conflict. Despite officers initially siding with the children and their families, Lorinch's aggression culminated in the catastrophic shooting of Owens. The Perfect Neighbor is a stark examination of how prejudice can poison even the closest communities. The filmmakers gained access to hours of body camera footage and audio recordings through a Freedom of Information Act request, shedding light on how a minor dispute escalated into tragedy. You're watching something that goes from normal to not so normal to wait. Where's this going? Kwantu explains. When I saw it, I knew this was the film. Approaching Diaz about the documentary, Gandbhir prioritized the family's comfort and consent. Geeta was always in constant communication, ensuring I was okay with moving forward, Diaz says. This trust allowed Diaz to step back from day-to-day decisions, relying on Gandbhir's sensitivity and professionalism. The end result shows Geeta's approach was beyond thoughtful, Diaz adds. She told our story with the utmost respect and care. The setting and the laws in question Filmed in Ocala, Florida, the documentary also draws parallels to the 2012 killing of Trayvon Martin in nearby Sanford. George Zimmerman's acquittal under Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which allows deadly force if one feels threatened, even outside the home, sparked national outrage. A decade later, Owens' death reignited debates about these problematic laws, which disproportionately harm black individuals. Hopefully, through Ajike's legacy, we can fight these harmful policies, Payne says. Who was Ajike Owens? Ajike Owens was a devoted mother and cherished friend, portrayed in the film through family testimony, photos, and everyday scenes. She was a protective parent who intervened when her children faced disputes with Lorincz, Gandbhir explains. The documentary immortalizes Owens' warm spirit, ensuring her legacy endures. My daughter always said the world would know her name, Diaz says. The Perfect Neighbor has made that true. The film's approach to the tragedy. The documentary does not show the shooting itself, instead reconstructing events through interviews, 911 audio, and police body camera footage. Viewers witness the neighborhood's environment, hear urgent calls for help, and see the police and EMS response. For Diaz, the first screening was both devastating and cathartic. Reliving those moments was overwhelming, she admits. But Geeta's storytelling was magical, a masterpiece of sensitivity and rigor. What happened to Susan Lorincz? Lorincz's frequent complaints to police about children playing near her home are documented in the film. On June 2, 2023, she reported Owens attempting to break down her door and threatening her life. Minutes later, she called back to report shooting Owens through the door. Despite emergency efforts, Owens died at a hospital. Lorincz was arrested 4 days later and charged with manslaughter, culpable negligence, battery, and assault. In 2024, she was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The Perfect Neighbor premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, where Gandbhir won the U.S. Documentary Directing Award. Now, the filmmakers aim to reach a wider audience, urging viewers to confront the attitudes and policies perpetuating such tragedies. I hope the film inspires a deeper understanding of these laws' consequences, Gandbhir says. Diaz echoes this sentiment, hoping Ajake's memory will inspire positive change. I want her legacy to be a blessing, she says. To spark compassion and action in a world that desperately needs it. A final thought-provoking question. As we reflect on Ajike Owens' story, we must ask ourselves, how many more tragedies will it take before we reevaluate laws that enable such senseless violence? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this crucial conversation going.